Idalia likely to become a hurricane near Cuba. So Tropical Storm Idalia is developing into a serious hurricane threat now. It's a high-end, getting towards high-end tropical storm status, 20.6 degrees north, 85.3 degrees west. The National Hurricane Center now explicitly forecast a major hurricane before it strikes Florida on Wednesday morning. Here it is right now at 65 miles per hour and a pressure of 988 millibars. With recon in there right now, they could find stronger. It is moving north at 9 miles per hour as of 8 a.m. Cancun, 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time this August 28. Here's its position displayed on the map and its wind field, which extends out in 3 quadrants. Believe it or not, the western side is almost bare of tropical storm force winds right now, but the eastern quads 60 nautical miles out from the center. Hurricane warning for Pinar del Rio in Cuba. That's not too far away from there. 152 kilometers from Cozumel, 172 from Cancun, 409 from Havana, 571 from Key West, and 863 from Tampa. The only US territory under tropical storm warning so far is Dry Tortugas. They're under a warning right now, and a storm surge watch for a large part of the western coast of Florida as well, and a hurricane watch that's in effect there. So serious implications on the way, and we're still most concerned about the primary hazard of storm surge. Destructive storm surge along the western coast of Florida and around the Florida Panhandle, with totals up to 11 feet expected between the Osceola River and Chassahowitzka, Florida. Destructive winds are also becoming increasingly likely for that area, and more immediately for the western tip of Cuba, of course. Hurricane warning there, and they could expect Category 1 conditions in the next 24 hours. Here's the forecast then as we move on through this coming week, and you can see the storm moving northwards, and then it turns northeastwards there, and it makes that landfall on Wednesday, and then out through North Carolina and back over the Atlantic by the end of the week, where it actually does die off, but the remnants will survive for a little while into the weekend by the looks of things. That's just one projection right now. National Hurricane Center have a little bit further of an eastward movement there towards Bermuda actually at the end of the week. 65 miles per hour right now. That's well supported by recon. Of course, that's the National Hurricane Center's latest advisory too. ADT, the Dvorak satellite estimates, are lagging behind quite a bit, around 55 to 60 miles per hour on there. And of course you can see the warning illustrations on that chart as well on the left from the National Hurricane Center. Here's a spread of the models right now, and a lot of them do take it further out to sea towards the late part of that run, but in the meantime they really are starting to home in on possibly that major hurricane status, with the HWRF I think being the leading one there at borderline category 4, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Wind shear will be rising substantially by the time it does make landfall. There's the GFS, probably a category 3 there, moving inland and then moving on towards the east. So it is a very quick landfall that happens, but of course it will bring destructive storm surge, and that event could happen quite quickly and might catch people off guard, bearing in mind how quickly this storm is moving. Watch for those tropical storm force winds over large parts of Florida there. Happens very quickly over Orlando, over Jacksonville, all along the east coast of Georgia and North Carolina and South Carolina there, and what's left of it moves down towards the south by the looks of things on that GFS run, but there's a split forecast there, two different schools of thought over what happens. There's the simulated radar imagery, and it would appear that the northern side of the storm is what will produce the most rainfall when the storm is moving into the Florida Panhandle. Of course for Cuba it's going to be the eastern side that's the worst there, because that's how it's looking right now with that wind spread, and they'll get quite a lot of rainfall too. And then moving on through the Carolinas, where there could be secondary high amounts of rainfall over a longer period than what we get in Florida, and we'll take a look at those totals in just a second. But overall there, certainly a very wet affair. So for the coast of Cuba, they're getting hit by quite a lot of rainfall there early on, and then when it does move through Florida, Round about the coast near Apalachicola looks like they'll get the highest amounts of rainfall, with the highest amounts of rain just off the coast, but along the coast probably easily getting 6 inches there, and inland maybe getting up to around 8 or maybe even 10 inches. 10 inches forecast on the western tip of Cuba due to 250 millimeters, and significant amounts all along that trail, mainly inland into Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and then out through the Outer Banks, those heaviest rainfall amounts. Cancun, on the other hand, only getting 1 inch of further rainfall. Sea surface temperatures looking very good ahead of this storm right now. Of course, as we probably are well aware, those temperatures getting up towards 29-30 degrees Celsius. This model projection reads a little bit low as well, so in excess of 30 degrees really, probably 31, maybe even pushing close to 32 in 1 or 2 spots as it moves up the eastern Gulf of Mexico. So sea surface temperatures will never be an issue for this tropical cyclone, and even after it moves off the Outer Banks, those temperatures are still at least 27 degrees. Let's take a look at the latest satellite imagery. This is how it's looking right now as we get the early morning view across the western Caribbean. There's the latest water vapor, and by the way, look at Franklin off the top right hand of the screen. We'll be doing an update on that later today as well. A very powerful hurricane now, but Idalia with big mass of cloud and rain towards the south side of it, but the core is well to the north of that mess really, and the northern side is looking a little bit quiet because there is dry air, quite a lot of it, through the Yucatan Channel into the Gulf of Mexico, but this storm will quite easily push that away, and I expect that we will see significant strengthening happening fairly soon, and it does look like a pretty bad case scenario. Maybe not worst case, but very bad case as it moves through there, probably as a hurricane in the next 24 hours. Hurricane warnings in effect for the western coast of Cuba.